Okay. Good morning. Let me get this all muted. Did it even take off last night? I fell asleep. I was so tired. I don't even know what the heck happened last night. Yesterday was just an insane day. All the stuff that was going on. And it's still continuing this morning. It's still going on. There's still intel information coming in. It's just crazy. Matter of fact, somebody's on the phone with somebody right now to see if they'd come on forward on a show. He would have an exclusive with this one. And I'm not. It's Mr. M. That's all I'll say, Mr. M. And that is totally different than what's going on right now with News Nation. There's just so much stuff going on. But I hope he doesn't call me because then I gotta mute. Yep, I'm gonna have to mute. Because this is directly tied to a whistleblower coming out in the next few days. Separate from what's going on right now with the whole News Nation thing. It's a totally different thing. Well, yeah, it is. Oh my God, what's going on now? Well, who's messaging me? Where's those messages coming from? That's gonna have to wait. The guys are live tonight. I'm talking the UAP stuff. Chris and Don and Dan. Commander is out on a mission. I'll just leave it like that. Like literally. But, oh my God. I can't. Hold on, I'm just setting up these pop-outs. They're everywhere. It's been fun, though, this last week. It's been exciting. And you know what's kind of funny? Yeah. You know what's kind of funny? Is I've been talking about it. I've been hinting at it. And I kind of upset one of our friends by like, you know, you shouldn't even talk about this stuff. I'd rather not listen at all. I'd rather you just be silent on it than express your opinion. It's not my opinion. I'm telling you that stuff is coming. And it did. And I'm 2 for 2 and I will be 3 for 3. That's how confident I am on the next one. So people could say whatever. The track record speaks for itself. Going even back to Grush. I don't say things loosely. When I do say stuff like this, that means it's serious because I normally would never do that. Only when I know something is coming. And so far I'm 2 for 2 and it'll be 3 for 3 with Mr. M within a week, I think. And the person says they'll be vindicated by what comes out. The one that is talking to a whistleblower from a Black Project program. How's that for detail? That's all I'm saying. And hopefully we'll get more information on that. What am I missing? YouTube. Is that possible? No. Rumble, Kick, Trovo. If you go to News Nation's YouTube, they're putting out snippets of what's coming on Saturday. I'm not going to share that because I'll get in trouble for that. But you can go to News Nation, and they're already put on YouTube. They're putting out clips of Jake Barber. I believe that's his name. The helicopter pilot. Matter of fact, I sent that clip. Martin Willis sent it to me yesterday. It was crazy last. What? That was Renee. All right, so I'll put the link because I'm not gonna put the stuff here because that's like serious copyright infringement. It's right here. I'm gonna copy the link. This is a little teaser trailer for Saturday for News Nation. They posted it yesterday. I put it in YouTube. I put it in Rumble. Right there. And what it says in the description, Elizabeth Vargas is the one that is doing this. It says here, this was yesterday. A new whistleblower claims not only know about a secret government UFO retrieval program, but says he directly participated in it. News Nation's Ross Coulthart spoke with Air Force veteran Jake Barber about his claims, which are backed by other military veterans. Barber says he saw an object that was white and egg-shaped. The reaction by my team, this is a quote, the reaction by my team, we all knew we were dealing with something extraordinary, end quote. Watch the full interview during News Nation's TV special, Hunting UFOs, the Crash Retrieval Whistleblower, on Saturday, January 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So that was posted yesterday. And you can go to newsnationnow.com, but it's on their YouTube. Just look up News Nation. I did put the link. But the funny thing is, that's not the video. That's not the video that Toby and I know about, which is the one that's seriously scary. But Ross Coulthart said something with Donald Trump Jr. last night that made me go, oh my gosh. Because what he said now makes sense related to the other video. So wow, Bob Uecker passed away. Anyway, if there are private entities, I'm going to make this a hypothetical. If you're an aerospace company, right? And you're saying, the heck with this. We're going to, oh my gosh, stop it. We're going to go out and start looking for crash retrieval sites ourselves. We'll hire a team. We'll contract out and get people that are trained and we'll go look for this stuff ourselves. Well, what would you think the reaction of the government would be? Oh, really? So now you're going to take it upon yourselves. But here's the funny irony of it. But wait a minute. You say they don't exist. The government's saying there is no such thing as a crash retrieval, right? Publicly. So what are you worried about if a private entity is deciding to say, okay, we're going to start looking for crash retrieval site for craft? What do you care? So, it's like, now what do you do? If they hire people to go out looking for stuff, because, they can have specialized surveillance. They could be looking for it from the private sector, the money that could be used, investors. Let's get our hands on one. This is all hypothetical. Let's get our hands on one. Why are we waiting to get information from the government to us, like through an SAP program? They hand us technology only to threaten to take it away from us after we've been researching it. You know what? Let's just do it on our own. Let's go out there. We'll hire contractors, security teams, and if we hear of a location, we'll just drop in, check it out, see what's going on. Now, what happens if the United States government says, well, of course, they're going to do the same thing, even though they're in denial of everything? Wouldn't that be an interesting scenario of a possible confrontation between government and private sector on a site? Like, who wants to get access of that? Who has, I mean, is it national security if it lands in somewhere in South America? Really, it is? It's in another country. How does that make it national security for you? It's not the United States. So do they have, you know what I mean? Wouldn't you think the country of origin has the right to decide what goes on in their airspace and on their territory? And if they're working with these private sector entities, but could you imagine? That would be so wild. Is that a delivery for me? Oh, it is. Oil. Oil is here. That's the oil delivery. You saw an article about some hackers manufacturing them out of the sky. Anything's possible. Why is my mom calling me? What is it, Mom? We're getting an oil delivery. You can't make this up in the middle of a thought. But Ross said there was a group out there. That's why I'm talking about it. Ross said there was a group, Skywatcher, something like that, that has taken upon themselves from the private sector to go out and try to retrieve craft. How does that go over with the government? But they say they have never recovered anything. They're in denial. So you're going to tell them they're going woo-woo on you, government, are they? Or are they really? That they're going UFO hunting? Because you deny it, so what do you care? They don't exist, right? So you should laugh and say, let them. Unless it's more serious and they know their public statement is BS, but they know they need to get on that right away. That's what I'm saying. Let's play poker. And you know what? The other company should do it too. Put the pressure. If I was Bigelow, Lockheed, Boeing, all these different aerospace companies, I'd be hiring teams to do the same thing. Now, I can't speak about like maybe Elon because he's close to President Trump. He might have the insight on stuff anyway. But these other companies, they should think about doing something like that. And Ross Coulthart brought that up yesterday with Donald Trump Jr. on Triggered. That there is a private sector group that is going out there to try to retrieve crashed UAPs. Oh my gosh. Oh, that must have sent a little wave. It has to. Because, wait a minute. They're going to do what? They got teams out there searching for stuff? And again, if they have jurisdiction from another country to go into an area, they get permission. What is the United States going to say about that? Are they going to contact that government and say, don't let them? We don't want them getting access to it? Tell them that they can't get there? I mean, just think of what could happen behind the scenes over something like this. Or the conflict. Now, remember. Oh, I can't. Oh. There have been people that say that they enter an area and there's a craft, but there are what looks like mercenaries or some type of black ops special force that are not dressed in normal army, marine, whatever fatigue. They're in some other unmarked uniform, and they end up being at some of these sites, but they're tied to the military somehow. Either as a hired mercenary type group or some real dark special ops team that goes in. Like I said, nothing to show who they are. No representation. You can't tell. It's not like they have a U.S. flag. And there have been people that encountered, supposedly, allegedly. Other soldiers have encountered them and told to drop their weapons, give up their arms. So, what makes it different if the private sector has their contractors and now engaging with military personnel at a site? What the heck would happen then, huh? So what Ross brought up last night was quite interesting, that a private sector group, and I can't imagine, it might be more, are trying to get a crash retrieval site, get to a crash retrieval site themselves and confiscate whatever's there. But how is that going to go over with the United States government? But like I just mentioned, the United States government says, oh, we've never recovered a crashed UFO. So go ahead. Really? Check. It's like playing chess. Check. Now make your move. Because what are you going to say? Yeah, go ahead, UFO nuts. Go look for it. They don't exist. We told you they don't exist. Good luck. Laugh about it. But I don't think it's that funny right now. I mean, this could get very interesting. Especially when Ross makes a reference like that, and then Saturday he's got this Jake Barber on, a helicopter pilot, who says he was in direct contact with an anomalous object that was shaped like an egg. It was white. Oh, we're going to find out more about, and there's a video to this. So we're going to find out more about that, but how was that video released? Like, is that a classified video? That I want to know more about the actual video itself, the source of the video, where it came from. Of course, its authenticity. But is this one of those groups that took the photo, the video? I need to learn more information about this one. That's like everybody else. But then I said, Mr. M's coming out with stuff soon in the next few days. And I've been referring to Mr. M for a few days, so I don't know if it's public domain yet. But It's been the talk for some time now. And we shall see. It might be out there in public domain, but I don't speak about it until I can verify that it has been. Because I'm not going to be the first one to talk about it. Now, if it's public domain, somebody else already talked about it. But it wasn't me that said it first. And it won't be. Ever. I would think, since it's so close to the time when it's coming out, that there might be some hints of it online. If I'm just going to look. I'm going to look if there's even any reference to it yet. Because then it wasn't me. Nope. Nope. No. Let me put past week. No, that's Randy Anderson. We knew about the Green Beret. We mentioned it on the show, and 10 minutes later, it's out. Toby goes, yeah, there's a Green Beret that's coming forward on the show that we did Monday, and 10 minutes later, the video drops by Jesse on YouTube. We were like, oh my God, that was fast. That's too funny. What the heck is this? All right, this has to do more with the whistleblower program, but Tim Burchett is trying to get another thing passed. That's not the article I'm reading, but I know he is. There is nothing mentioning what I know is coming, so I can't talk about it. But it's coming. Mr. M is coming with more information. So we'll see. And that's, like I said, separate from what Greer is doing, from the article that came out, the YouTube thing that came out on Monday, that what Ross Coulthart is doing. This is something else. But it's coming out soon. Might take a week. I don't know what the timeline is. Though somebody might be talking with that person directly right now. That I know. And that's crazy. So I hope that everything works out with him in that conversation right now. Because it's probably ongoing at this moment. And as soon as anything is formally announced, I will let everybody know. The person may call me after that phone call happens. So I dare not. And if there's anything I could talk about, I will. If not, I won't. So that's enough of the ET talk, or UAP talk, or interdimensionals, or whatever they are. Or maybe it's ours, or China's, or Russia, or somebody else. But it's just been overwhelming the last... This all started Friday last week, Thursday. It just kept coming. And it was like, oh my gosh. Is it true? Is it real? It turned out it was. And I was like, it's hard. Because I spoke to somebody else And they knew for months and held their tongue, not saying nothing. They knew for months. Based on also, and he asked two other, one very recognizable person that is directly tied to this UAP stuff in relation to Congress and a hearing. And another one who's a prominent figure in UAP stuff. And they knew about it too. So I'm thinking, who was the one that said it? I think privately, somebody, it's going to come out soon in an interview, said it's going to be, hold on, it's going to be a wild ride. Lou Elizondo said something similar last night. I'm being very careful. So this is it for me. I'm sitting back saying, bring it, let's go. I want to see it. Once I get a phone call, if he doesn't call me within a half hour, I'm going to call him, because then I can break some immediate stuff to you right here, if allowed to. I'm literally waiting for a call. It's happening like that. I just spoke to the person before I came on here. And it's not Toby. It's somebody else. So we'll see. I am like itching to call him, but he might be on the line with the person right now, and I don't want to interrupt that call. So I'm a very impatient person. I'm like, what happened? Tell me what happened in the call. It's like that. It's like, for a person who's really interested in this stuff, and to be that close to it that you know when stuff is coming, and you know the details of it, but you can't, you know what I mean? And then when it does come out and it's like, oh my gosh, it really is. It's like, wow. It's a heck of a feeling. And that's why I tell people all the time, the public has no idea, though they think they do, of what's going on behind the scenes in the conversations that happen. Do you realize how much I have to mute when I have people on? That's for a reason. Because they're saying stuff that is not public domain. It's not known to the public. It's in private, like it should be. That's the whole point. But at the same time, I'm getting told all this stuff, and I'm like, oh. You might see when I'm on mute, I put the phone here so you can't see what I'm saying. But then you might see my eyes and my expressions. I'm like, the seriousness of the tone, what I'm hearing, it's like that. And sometimes, personal things are said regarding family, what they're going through, all that. That's nobody's business. But definitely, some of the other stuff is like, whoa. But we all would say allegedly, just like in articles you read, allegedly. Keyword, allegedly. We don't know if it's true or not. Not unless we see real evidence. So it's all alleged. We have to see it. Everything's not, I'm not going to say, well, guess what? They got a video of a crashed retrieval site picking a UFO, and that's so reckless and irresponsible. What proof do you have? From a video? Has the video been proven to be valid, credible, authentic? Or are you just gonna clickbait your way and just do stuff like that which is, to me, like I said, so irresponsible. It's like when I used to read the National Enquirer when I was a kid, see them in the supermarket, and I'm like, oh my God, look at that headline. And it was so crazy. It was like wild stuff. And it's like that now, what people do. They just do it to garner attention, clickbait, get millions of people to tune in on stuff that is not even what they're saying proven to be true. They just run with it. What's up, Daryl? Daryl, did it take off last night? Because I fell asleep. Did Blue Origin? I can't even. Bat boy. I just. My sight is like freaking with me. Maybe because it's. Did it go off last night? Blue Origin or no? I fell asleep. You would know if anybody knows. It did? Was it successful? Did they land the booster on the platform at the sea, in the ocean? Maybe I should look at it. I'll look at it later. It's past news, old news. Wow. Cool. It's one slow rocket. Okay, I gotta go look at this now. I was too tired. I fell asleep. Yesterday was a hell of a day. But now tonight is today. Today's Starship at 5, isn't it? Eastern. I'm looking now. Okay. I'm gonna skim. It took forever to get. They lost the booster. Achieved orbit with upper stage. Okay. They lost the booster. I'm looking at it now. I'm seeing it lift off. Here we go. Well, I can kind of maybe share it. So this was last night or early this morning, technically, for me. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7? That looks pretty cool, though. No ultra extra cameras? Oh my God, I'm glad. Oh yeah, so I'm saying, where's the cameras? What's going on here? Yeah, that's what I counted, 7, yeah. Okay. Now what? Oh my God. This is horrible. All right, so I yeah, I figured that due to the fuel. But at least they were able to get up into the upper stage. And this was their first test. They got a long way to catch up, if they ever do. And it's not even about that. They need to make it cost effective. It's going to be really hard to compete with SpaceX on that. Not only are they way behind, second, their budget, the cost, the overruns is way more expensive than it would be just to simply deal with SpaceX. That's just the bottom line. That's just the truth. SpaceX is the less expensive option for the private sector to send up satellites or anything else. They're just cheaper. Blue Origin has a long way to go. They have a lot of obstacles. So, good luck. And then you'll have today where Starship tests number, what is it, 7 today? Oh, it is 7, number 7. I just looked at chat and you said 7. Is this still on for 5 p.m. today, Daryl? Do you know? The Starship? I have to work at 6. So I hope it takes off on time. Because I can't watch it then. Oh, cool. It's still scheduled. All right, I'm going to ask you one more question, Daryl, and I'll stop busting your chops. Does it say what time the live coverage begins on SpaceX? Maybe 4:15? Let me just go to SpaceX. It'd probably be 4:15. Okay. 35. A live webcast of the test will begin 35 minutes before liftoff. You can watch here and on X at SpaceX. Okay, so it's 35 minutes before launch that they'll start to do the coverage. So that would be 4:25 my time this afternoon. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's right there. 35 minutes before liftoff. And you can go to SpaceX site and the website and you can see it directly on there. And it says 4 p.m. Central, but that's 5 p.m. Eastern. So 4:25 my time is when they should be going live with coverage. This is going to be, this is like a must watch. This is a must watch for me. This is definitely a must watch. That's why I said, I'll go to sleep. I need to sleep. Blue Origin is not as a big deal to me like Starship is. This is a big deal because this directly affects our space programming moving forward, especially with the Artemis, which has been delayed. And so many other reasons. So this is vital. To now, Blue Origin is a dream. To be honest, Blue Origin is just like a dream. This is more of a reality check right here. Just my opinion. Yeah, I saw that they've upgraded a lot. This is actually like a new Starship. It says here, a new generation ship with significant upgrades attempting Starship's first payload deployment tests fly multiple re-entry experiments geared towards ship catch and reuse and launch and return of the Super Heavy booster. A block of planned upgrades to the Starship's upper stage will debut on this flight test, bring major improvements to reliability and performance. The vehicle's forward flaps have been reduced in size and shifted toward the vehicle's tip and away from the heat shield, significantly reducing their exposure to re-entry heating, while simplifying the underlying mechanism protective tiling. Redesigns to the propulsion system, including a 25% increase in propellant volume, the vacuum jacketing of feed lines, a new fuel feeding system for the vehicle's Raptor vacuum engines, and an improved propulsion avionics module controlling vehicle valves and reading sensors. All additional vehicle performance and the ability to fly longer missions. The Sheep's heat shield will also use the latest generation tiles and include a backup layer to protect from missing or damaged tiles. It went a complete redesign. The vehicle's avionics underwent a complete redesign, adding additional capability and redundancy for increasingly complex missions that like propellant transfer and ship return to launch site. Avionics upgrades includes a more powerful flight computer, integrated antennas which combine Starlink CNSS and backup RF communication functions in each unit, redesigned inertial navigation and star tracking sensors, integrated smart batteries and power units that distribute data, and I don't know if it's 2.7, I can't read it. 2.7 MW of power across the ship's 24 high voltage actuators, and an increase to more than 30 vehicle cameras giving engineers insight into hardware performance across the vehicle during flight. With Starlink, the vehicle is capable of streaming more than 120 megabits per second of real-time high-definition video and telemetry in every phase of flight, providing invaluable engineering data to rapidly iterate across all systems. When in space, Starship will deploy 10 Starlink simulators, similar in size and weight to next-generation Starlink satellites, as the first exercise of a satellite deploy mission. The Starlink simulators will be on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship and are expected to demise upon re-entry, so they're going to burn up. A relight of a single Raptor engine while in space is also planned. Wow, this is extensive. The flight test will include several experiments focused on ship return to launch site and catch. On Starship's upper stage, a significant number of tiles will be removed to stress test vulnerable areas across the vehicle. Multiple metallic tile options, including one with active cooling, will test alternative materials for protecting Starship during re-entry. On the sides of the vehicle, non-structural versions of the ship catch fittings are installed to test the fittings' thermal performance, along with a smooth and tapered edge of the tile line to address hotspots observed during re-entry on Starship's 6th flight test. The ship's re-entry profile is being designed to intentionally stress the structural limits of the flaps, while at the point of maximum entry, dynamic pressure. Finally, several radar sensors will be tested on the tower chopsticks with the goal of increasing the accuracy when measuring distances between the chopsticks and a returning vehicle during catch. Oh my gosh. The Super Heavy booster will utilize flight-proven hardware for the first time, using a Raptor engine from the booster launch and return on Starship's 5th flight test. Hardware upgrades to the launch and catch tower will increase reliability for booster catch, including protections to the sensors on the tower chopsticks that were damaged at launch and resulted in the booster offshore divert on Starship's previous flight test. Distinct vehicle and pad criteria must be met prior to a return and catch of the Super Heavy booster, requiring healthy systems on the booster and the tower, and a final manual command from the mission's flight director. If this command is not sent prior to the completion of the boost back burn, or if automated health checks show unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy or the tower, the booster will default to a trajectory that takes it to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. We accept no compromises when it comes to ensuring the safety of the public and our team, and the return will only take place if conditions are right. The returning booster will slow down from supersonic speed, resulting in audible sonic booms in the area around the landing zone. Generally, the only impact to those in the surrounding area of the sonic boom is a brief thunder-like noise with variables like weather and distance from the return site determining the magnitude experienced by observers. So I think that has a lot to do with the complaints that happened from the last one. Oh my gosh. There was a firestorm of that. You know, environmental concerns, people who live nearby. There was a whole bunch of stuff. So that's not surprising that they would put that extra language in there because of what's been going on. They're going to make sure that they do such and such, because the FAA, they must have got something going on with that. I'm going to actually search that. Yeah. What? Here is an article right here. Here's just one article. But I don't know if this has anything to do with that, but FAA wants to fine SpaceX for alleged safety violations during 2 Florida launches. But this is Texas tests. But it looks like they're having issues with the FAA. Like there's another article here. The war of words between SpaceX and the FAA keeps escalating. So if I had to guess, it's tied to the FAA. That's why I'm looking for articles. Because my hunch seems to be pretty on the point here. Oh, this is interesting. This is definitely interesting. Senate, and this is when it wants me to subscribe, so I'm not. Oh, we're gonna have to look into this. But it wants me to pay. Trump pick says he'll review FAA SpaceX penalties. Duffy said he'd also look at speed of launch approvals. Senator Ted Cruz called SpaceX penalties corrosive. Here, let me try to pull an article. Here we go. A review, okay. Transportation Department said he will review the penalties proposed against SpaceX. He'll also look into what's been happening at the FAA with regard to the launches. And we just mentioned about the 663. So there's a back and forth bickering with this. That was from a direct question from Ted Cruz. Cruz says fines like the ones imposed by the FAA are corrosive. He asked Duffy to commit to reviewing the penalties and more broadly curtailing the bureaucracy, the bureaucratic overreach, and accelerating launch approvals at FAA's Commercial Space Office. And then he also brought up cars. So yeah, there is that going on right now at the hearings. It's actually become a topic. Now, some critics will say, well, now Elon is just too close to the situation with the Trump administration, that this is some kind of a getting an inside line for his launches for SpaceX. You know there's going to be people out there that are going to argue that, especially other competing companies going to say, well, wait a minute. Why is only SpaceX being brought up in this? I mean, are you favoring SpaceX to have an easier process for their launches, speedier? I mean, why? Because, but then again, they have to look at it that this has been going on between SpaceX and the FAA for quite some time. There's a history here. There's a problem here. But I'm sure there'll be people out there criticizing it and saying this is favoritism to Elon Musk. You know that's coming. Because they always do. But no, he's had issues with the FAA, period. And this is not just of the last few months. It's been going on actually for years. So I remember, and this is like in 2023, when they were making a big stink about having his facility there in Texas because of all the wildlife around it and endangering the wildlife. The environmental groups went nuts as he was expanding more there in that area, the facility was growing in size, and they made a big stink of that. That was what, a few years already? Maybe I don't know if it was 2023. So this, this has been going ongoing for quite some time. This is not something new. With SpaceX and local groups, environmental groups, FAA, this has been going on for quite some time. And really, this is for the benefit of the country, the space program. Why would you make it hard? I know there are guidelines and, regulations and all that, but my gosh, are you just like, really? Really? It's like it would be like if I'm riding my bicycle at 20 miles per hour and it was a bike zone that was 15 and they give me a ticket. I mean, like, are you serious? You're going to give me a ticket on a bicycle? Because I was doing 20 when the lane says 15? Are you serious? That's how petty it is. It's just pettiness. To me, if I was to use an analogy, not a good one, but that's how silly it sounds. These stupid penalties that they're trying to give to SpaceX. I mean, really? It's not even $1 million. It's like 633,000. Like, would you come up with that number, first of all? And really, you're going to bug them over that kind of money? Seriously? Get over it. So, you know what I mean? It's like ridiculous. I wonder if you did that in another country. Would they do that? Could you imagine in China or Russia? Forget about North Korea. Anywhere that they say, well, you caused a security concern, so we're gonna fine you. What did you say to me? That person disappears forever. I mean, give me a break. Oh my God, it's laughable. All right, let me put my fire. My fire's going out. Oh man, I always do this. My fire ends up going out. But anyway, on a more brighter side, SpaceX launched today. Take that, FAA. We get to see SpaceX today at 5. Now, I hope it takes off on time because I have a show to do and I have to be working by 5:45. So I hope all this happens right on time. Otherwise, for me. Later, Daryl. That's insane. $600 million on a wedding. Ordinary people are like, what? WTF? What? All right, Daryl. Maybe I'll see you later when I restream again to do Starship. I'm going to start at 4:15. Maybe 4. A little earlier. Because everybody's live tonight. Oh, I got to call somebody important. Yeah, I've given the person enough time. This is about the next whistleblower. I have to mute. So there might be a little pause after Saturday for the next shoe to drop. Because there's a connection. So when Saturday happens, there, wait and see approach to roll out the next thing. So it might take a week or two before the other stuff comes out. A week or two from today, before the other stuff comes out because of Saturday. And that's as far as I can go with it. Because this person talked directly to the person that's involved with the other thing. He talked directly to the source, to the person. Just now. Just spoke with the other big drop. Personally. Just spoke with that person. And it's going to, hold on. Let's let this go out there in proper fashion. Let people absorb what's going on. And then we'll get to the next phase. But it's coming. The timing, don't know exactly, but it's coming. And I'm excited to see how this rolls out. Now, what is... Oh, look what Mellon wrote. And it's about yesterday. I hope the president-elect will review the extraordinary claims from his son's podcast and take appropriate action to bring the facts to light. Kudos to these news sources for their willingness to speak on the record about their extraordinary experiences. And that had to do with the Triggered show yesterday. So, and he put the link to it. And here's a typical response that I said that would be out there. How can the public trust we will receive authentic... What? I think they spelled something. Message about disclosure and not a narrative crafted by those who still aim to keep certain things hidden. And I knew those comments were going to start coming. And I'm just reading the other comments. Most of them are very positive. And a lot of positive stuff about the hopefulness of disclosure under the Trump administration. Here's another good comment. The irony is, of course, this is coming from X. The irony is another comment from someone. The irony is, of course, that after so many decades of lies and BS, most people won't believe any noises these people might make with their faces. You have NHI remains, non-human intelligence. Then let's see it. You have recovered UAPs? Let's see it. Otherwise, nobody cares anymore. I've said that. That's the whole frustration. People want evidence. They're tired of the stories. I've been saying that. I said it on the show Monday. They're tired of it. It's like, unless you got something to show me, I don't care. And that's just a few of the comments. To be expected. I mean, that's not like I say, you don't need a crystal ball to figure what people are going to say now about all this. And there'll be more. This is PSYOP. This is deep state. This is false flag. Disinfo. This person's a shill working for the government. Yeah, that comes with the territory. But let's just see. It's a wait and see. Let's see what happens on News Nation on Saturday night and days afterward. Because there's going to be more. That's a fact. And 100%. This is not even an opinion. This is a fact. Right? It's not going to happen that long after Saturday. Let's just say that. There's more. So they're putting, what they're doing is they're rolling it out to put it into the segments where it's building up to a certain thing. So, and then we'll see what happens. But a lot going on behind the scenes. And I honestly think that unless they get to him somehow, some way, I honestly think this could be Donald Trump's gig to do. It really, really could. It really, really could happen. But then again, I say that carefully because you never know, even with the President of the United States, at what levels they'll go to. If they dig up some blackmail material against him, something, they'll hold that over his head. If you go out with this, this comes out. Who knows what they're capable of doing? I'm speculating. That's a hype. I'm just throwing that out there, but you never know. If he really wants to he can, like I was saying yesterday about declassification and classification. That's why I went through a whole thing about that. He could simply declassify something and put it out there to the public. That's his power as president. So could you imagine? Imagine he doesn't do it, but he hires someone in his cabinet, assigns someone in his cabinet in a position like Ross Coulthart said yesterday, a UAP czar. Like there's a border czar, a UAP czar. And the UAP czar meets with the president and they decide, he shows, because that person gets classification access, because Trump can do that. He did it with a perfect example I was saying yesterday. He did it with Kushner, his son-in-law, that people were up in arms that he did that. Some people. In government. He could do it with his UAP czar and they get access. And Mr. President, I think we can declassify this and show it to the American public. It doesn't jeopardize national security, blah, 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 blah. And have him sign off on it. And then the UAP czar has a conference and lays it out. Oh my gosh. That's just a hypothetical. Obviously. Or, under the new Trump administration, more access is given to congressional members to classified information, so that when they have these hearings, instead of people just sitting there and telling a story, there's actual documentation or whatever associated with what they're saying to show to the American people on screens like a PowerPoint. Instead of just hearing about it, oh, we can't discuss this. This is classified. I can discuss this behind closed doors in a classified setting kind of deal. And that gets so tiring and just ridiculous. Instead of hearing that, well, we have the declassified documents right here that were once classified about this. Wouldn't that be a whole turnaround. And Trump can do that. And that's why I keep emphasizing. And this is also a policy thing across the board for many issues. Republicans have the House, the Senate, the executive branch with the president, even the judicial branch with the Supreme Court, 6-3, conservative. So as if someone was to fight, challenge something, take it to court, well, you got a 6-3 judge behind you, a Supreme Court, I mean. They have all the cards. If you're going to do it, you do it now. At least for the next 2 years before the midterms. Because depending on what happens over the next 2 years, that can flip a House or a Senate. So you've got to do it now. Now's the time, the next 2 years, for any policy. I'm specifically talking about UAP, but for anything. You got to get stuff passed now while you have that control, even though the Democrats could have a filibuster. But basically, Republicans have it right in their palms of their hands to do what they need to do. Pretty much. So we'll see if this is part of that. Honestly, my gut feeling is, unless something is going on behind the scenes that puts pressure on President Trump, somehow, some way, I think he will do it. I think he will be transparent. I think he will put out stuff. That's just my gut. I don't know what other people think about that. But like I said, unless something gets in the way of that, somehow. Just think of all the people that surround him and have his ear, including his son, who's taken this topic very seriously. And if you've seen that interview yesterday, yes, because Russ kept telling him, well, if you can send a message to your dad and emphasize that it would be great if he did this, Donald Trump Jr. is listening, and he's probably going to have his father watch it. Forget about telling him, Dad, you need to watch this interview I did with these guys yesterday. And then we can have a discussion afterward. I'll give you my thoughts on this. Who knows how that happens? But I think it is very important. It's critical. Like I said, who was the one that pretty much picked Vance to be his VP? Donald Trump Jr. I believe it was him. I can verify that. And that I'm using that for a reason, because that's how much he has his father's ear, his influence. Okay, Trump Jr. was there. And his other son, Eric, was. It was his son's influence. Both of them, it says here. But that just to show that the family members do have, obviously, they're family members. They have a direct tie, close ties to advising what their father does. It's the only reason I brought that up. So, and like, that probably goes across the board. Same goes with this situation. And there's a lot of talk about Lou Elizondo. Will he take a position if asked? I think he said yes, pretty much. On Cuomo, he said, if asked to serve my country again, I would probably do so. I'm paraphrasing. It was something to that effect. And here he is on with Donald Trump Jr. And Donald Trump Jr. is probably very impressed about Lou Elizondo. and might tell his father, listen, he actually came up with a great idea, a UAP czar. What about Lou doing it? He said it wouldn't be that hard of a job to do. It could be as easy as something like that. Just like the idea of J.D. Vance from Eric and Donald Jr. Let's go with Lou Elizondo. It could be as simple as that. And Trump says, you know what? Let's do it. Done. I mean, like I said, if there was another name out there that sounds familiar, because when he was on Rogan, he didn't sound like he was so involved with the UAP thing, like it wasn't his thing. So if he hears a name associated to something that he is familiar with, that name is going to stick out in his brain. It's a recognizable name. And this person has an extensive background. Well, it doesn't take much to add up that might be the logical choice for him to make, to pick that person to take a role in an administration. Unless they make a list and they vet a whole bunch of people. But it could be I'm just saying, it could be as simple as, why not Lou? It could be as simple as that. Why not Lou? Again, all hypothetical. But I think this is going to be very interesting. Now, there are other issues to deal with in the immediate that the president has to put his mind to: the Middle East, Ukraine, border, inflation, economy, all that stuff, trade. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So where does this fall? Not necessarily on his shoulders, but on Congress' shoulders to set up another hearing. But again, the pieces are in place at that time to get this done. So that's a separate thing going on the side. Doesn't necessarily have to come to the president's desk, as he's concentrating on more prioritized items on that list that he has to get done. But that doesn't mean green light, time to go. Let's go, Congress. Let's have a hearing. With the full support of the president. Conversations. The president supports us having another hearing on UAPs. And who knows what the conversations are behind the scenes. Like I said, just, making these hypothetical settings that could possibly go on behind the scenes. But still, it's fascinating. And I have to say, I'm always like, okay, without evidence. But right now, I'm a little optimistic of how this moves forward. I am. Especially, like I always say, what I'm hearing behind the scenes. And this is coming from a bipartisan angle, from people from both sides of telling me stuff. It's like they're all in. This is bipartisan. This is not going to be something they battle over. This is one of those rare instances where they want this to happen. But we have to be mindful of those that don't within Congress for whatever reasons. But if they are Republican, they toed the line with Trump. They will quickly go down in numbers because the rest are going to file right behind President Trump. And these are trying to be defiant about this. They better catch up real soon and get in line. That's when we're going to find out people are going to be sweating, because what are they worried about? Why are they so against this? We're going to find out. I'm telling you, it's going to be interesting to see how this develops, because for so many reasons, like I'm saying. I'm going to see if I can push it up what I'm referring to as an example. I will rather reference public domain. He wasn't specific. Representative Timbershed said someone at the Capitol Hill told him there would be riots if details of what the U.S. really knows about UFOs were disclosed. I'm trying to find the specific language. According to Burchett, many in Congress believe UFOs originate from a non-human intelligence. See, this article doesn't bring it up. Some of this is old news. And there is bipartisan legislation. But I'm trying to find all right, I'll just put it like this. I'll just mention a name. And this is true. And this is a comment coming directly from him.
On their 56, we were being briefed by NASA on their 56 page. Oh, ma'am, great seeing you. Thanks for what you do for us. Briefed on their report on UFO, UAP, whatever. It's 56 pages. Doesn't say a whole lot. To me, it was just driving them towards us getting funding. But one thing came out, my colleague Gary Palmer asked about classified stuff at NASA, and they said, we don't have anything classified. And like, what? You don't have anything classified? I mean, satellite imagery of something, and they is very elusive. And so what I think they've done is they sent these two folks in here, like the Pentagon did, and have very little knowledge of the issue. And so they can say, they can hold up their hand before Congress and swear that they know nothing about the issue and it doesn't exist. Didn't get a lot from that, and I'm a little disappointed, so we're probably going to have to get some more people from the Pentagon in there to tell us what exactly is going on, because I'm not for giving anybody more money. I just want the truth. Just give me the facts.
Now, in this same article, a growing number of politicians and commentators have alleged that several Republican congressmen are plotting to stymie the investigation and release of secret government knowledge about UAPs.
I also know this
Oh,
deal
God, what the hell is he doing?
was
on there?
developed and negotiated.
Oh, God. Okay. According to the reports, this was about a bill that they were going to pass. It was a bipartisan bill at the Senate with Rounds, two Republicans and 2 Democrats. It was Schumer, Gillibrand, Rounds, and I think it was Rubio. And the Republicans in the House killed it. According to multiple reports, Republican representatives are not trying to thwart these efforts or restrict the amendments. It was an amendment. That was the amendment that they were writing. Alabama Republican Representative Mike Rogers and Ohio Republican Representative Mike Turner are alleged by some to be leading efforts to strike down the amendment's powers. This week, I'm going to see what he wrote on X. Tucker Carlson. The answer is ominous.
Requires the U.S. government to tell the public what it knows about the countless unidentified flying objects that have been spotted in the skies above Earth over the past 3,000 years. It's designed to be, and it very well could be, a transformative piece of legislation. And it comes at a time when we can finally say with confidence that the most unlikely sounding theories about UFOs are actually true. Yes, these things are real. They're not all weather balloons. They're not experimental aircraft from this or any other country. Whatever they are not of human origin, nor do they behave according to the laws of known physics.
But watch what he says,
and
who's
yes,
interfering.
The U.S. government currently has physical evidence that they exist. That means wreckage of the craft as well as the bodies of the beings that flew them. Amazingly, all of this is true. We know that from the detailed testimony, much of it under oath, from several high-level whistleblowers, including longtime intel officers Lou Elizondo and Dave Grush, both of whom we've talked to. But there have been many, about 10 so far. So the question is, now that the UAP Disclosure Act has passed, when can the rest of us see the information that we paid for and in fact own? Well, not so fast, it turns out. One of the great secrets of Washington, known to everyone inside Washington, is that many of the most powerful members of Congress do not work for their constituents, much less for the rest of us, for the country at large. They are instead puppets of the most secretive federal agencies. They are controlled effectively by the permanent bureaucracy, including through bribery and blackmail. 2 such members happen to be especially powerful this term. They are Congressman Mike Rogers of Alabama, who is the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, and Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio, who is chairman of the House Intel Committee. Both of these men have been instructed to violate, in letter and in spirit, federal law, and to hide the truth about UFOs from the American public. They're working to do that right now. It is infuriating to watch this. But if you think about it for a second, it's also baffling. Why is this happening? Federal agencies have been lying about UFOs for more than 80 years. This has been a coordinated effort. It is both highly time-consuming and very expensive. Many Americans have been hurt in the process. But why? What's the point of this? Wouldn't it be a lot easier just to release the facts? Now, the conventional explanation for why they haven't been released is that the U.S. government is lying about UFOs because the truth about UFOs is too scary to reveal, that they're real, and our leaders wouldn't want to panic the population. But that's not true. In fact, it's ridiculous. Wouldn't want to terrify the population? Terrifying the population is what our government does best and most avidly. Officials regularly gin up irrational fears about COVID or white supremacy or Vladimir Putin or a dozen other topics as part of a pretty obvious control strategy. It's not like these people mind it scaring you.
So basically,
they want to scare you,
Tucker's addressing
with them. And if so,
to the point of we do not have access to something, you got to start asking yourself who the hell's in control. And I think it'd be wise for you all to start looking at some financial disclosures of some of those corporations, some of the people who do the stonewalling in this town. I want you to think about this. Think about this, that something with the capabilities of traveling light years, not showing a heat signature, and the energy capabilities of that would put the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting these worthless wars overseas over oil, and American boys and girls wouldn't be dying. It would put the war pigs out of business, and they'd have to go somewhere else, and I'm all for that.
They know what's going on. And Tucker nailed it. He's on it. He's exactly right. Absolutely. And he called it for what it is. Because there are high-ranking officials that are blocking this. Why? Why are they doing it? Is it because of national security reasons, or is it something else? Are they connected to some of this money in their pockets by corporations protecting them? Who knows? I don't know. But it's really, and that's why I said, it came from the House. And this is an amendment that's been in the news often. They try to get it amended. But there's also the flip side of the amendment. And this is what happens, the problem in government. They throw in other language in there to make it more complicated. Well, there was something in there that if I was a person representing the government, I would raise a flag too, that like a lot of the Republicans did, to give the government access into the private sector. And it's almost like eminent domain thing, where they can go in and say, okay, we're taking all of this and the government is now going to take possession of it. From a private sector? You're giving the government the power to take their work, their research, and just say, okay, we're confiscating all your research, everything, and now it's ours. End of story. There was kind of some type of language that was in that, allegedly, that turned off a lot of Republicans to say we're not gonna pass this. That's my understanding. You would have to look at the amendment itself and the language that's in the amendment. But that was something that was brought to my attention, and it raises concerns. It definitely does. Oversight by the government, their role, power. That's like saying if you owned a patent and the government just says, okay, this patent is vital to national security of the United States, we're taking it, end of story. You are done. What? So it's similar to that, something like that. It'd be like, you're working on something, it's yours. It's your invention. You haven't sold it to anybody yet. You've patented it. It's under your name, you're the inventor. And somebody says, okay, this is something that is vital to us. We're taking it. So long. But that's mine. No, it's not. It's not yours anymore. It's ours now. I don't think that goes over well. So I think there was some type of language that could be loosely translated to mean something like that. So, I can understand if that is true, my understanding of it, why there was pushback on it, because they threw in some language in there. Because they're so frustrated of trying to get information and stuff that they tried to do an overreach, that we're going to try to get to this stuff no matter what we need to do. If that even means going into one of these aerospace companies and going in and confiscating stuff to show evidence or to see it or whatever, we'll do that. Oh, slow down. Slow down. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Overreach. But now it's about just seeing how this currently all develops under a new administration. Transparency is the key word and has been used in reference to this new administration, how transparent they're going to be on a lot of things. Well, let's see what happens now. It all begins Monday. And from that point forward. So that's why I'm sitting back after Saturday. Then you have Sunday to analyze, and then Monday's the inauguration. And it's time. Let's go. And I'm sitting back, and I got that smile on my face because I'm like, boy, oh boy, if this is what I think it's going to be, and I may be totally wrong, and I'm okay with that if I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Like some people cannot be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. I make mistakes all the time. Every day. I mean, today I went out and grabbed a piece of wood that had a nail in it without looking at it really. Well, that was a big mistake today. It didn't penetrate. I was wearing gloves, but I had a tetanus shot 2 years ago because I stepped on something in the backyard and it was rusty. I had to get a tetanus shot. And I had a big thing on my foot. They had to do stitches and everything. It actually almost sliced my toe. Like, so I make mistakes all the time. But this one, I hope I'm not wrong. I hope. Because I'm like, this is going to be a ride. Like, and it's just like what they say. It's funny when they said it, like, this is going to be a wild ride, or get ready, saddle up, sit back, buckle up. I feel the same way from the stuff I'm hearing and what they're doing, and it's confirmation of what I've heard of what they're doing without getting ahead of it and talking about it until they do. And now to hear that it's doing it, it's like, oh boy, go, let's go. It's exciting. Now, other people might say, oh, they're just nuts and he's falling in for the deep state and the the whole thing. Now, with that being said, I still have to see what comes out, like everybody else. But like last night, for example, I had Robert Salas on for 45 minutes, Toby and I. This is a guy that had a direct experience in the command center underground, 60 feet, surrounded by concrete, locked in, and the guys are frantic above, seeing an object where they're aiming their freaking weapons at it, and it's hovering, no sound, about 40 to 50 feet wide, and the missiles get shut down. And it also happened at another location, because he was at Oscar, it was another one called Echo, it happened there too. And this is coming directly from the command guy, the guy that was at the command center for these missiles. He's telling you this happened. I mean, come on now. This isn't my speculation. This isn't my opinion. This is coming from the horse's mouth telling you what he experienced with his ultra top secret clearance. Can you imagine the clearance you need to be sitting at a command center controlling ICBMs during the Cold War? Vietnam? This is a high-ranking person with top secret clearance sitting at the control panels of ICBMs. And he's telling you they were shut down by some intermittent signal pulse that he told you how thick the concrete was, how the electrical the cabling system was 8 or 9 inches insulated and ultra protected. It's insane. Wow, this person took a break for a while. Now they're stalking again. I need to contact my lieutenant friend because this is just getting to the point of... But they're using... I forgot the phones. What they call them. But I'm just going to have to start collecting these numbers and calling my lieutenant friend and said, listen, this is just getting out of control. And I can do that. I may have to start doing that. The person took a break for a few weeks. Now they're doing it again. It's time to stop it, the harassment, because it is harassment. And all I got to do is call my lieutenant friend and say, listen, I'm coming over. I've got some screen shares and some phone numbers for you to look into for me. And these people are so stupid. They put themselves out there like that. You think I don't have connections? Of course I do. Oh my God, it's laughable. Second in command, actually, in my town. I've known him for a long time. And I respect him tremendously, and he knows me and he respects me. And that's how it is when you're in rural communities. You get to know people. You know what I'm saying? People could be so stupid. They put themselves in a position thinking they're invincible, like they do things that they feel that they can do, and they don't realize. You build up this, because you have to build a pattern up. You know what I mean? You got to show that consistency of pattern, behavior, and toast. It's happened once before that I had to do that. Unfortunately, because I don't like doing that. It's easy, it's simple. If the person stops, I don't have to do it anymore. If they keep persisting, I have no choice but to go to the police. It's just that simple. I really don't like to do that. Because then the last one lived in Tampa Bay. My police department contacted the Tampa Police Department, and they actually went to the person's house. I don't want to do that. But, you know, it's only just right now like stupid stuff. But if it escalates further than this just petty stuff, then I have to make a move. I'm just waiting for that next level. It's sad, but trust me, I know people in the UFO field that deal with this stuff all the time, and they worry about people with the threatening stuff they sent, intimidation, and all that stuff. They live with it every day. Some are to the point where they think they need bodyguards when they go to conferences. I'm not joking. That's how serious it is. And I'm a New Yorker. We're used to stupid stuff like this. You know what I mean? We know they're not worth the time, and they're just dumb. And you have to wonder about their intelligence. It's like, really? This is what you do to excite yourself every day? Is it really that bad? Does your life stink that bad that you want to see other people miserable? But I'm not miserable. I think you're a joke. It's just so funny. It's like pathetic. Like, get a life already. Find something constructive to do with your time. My time is so precious, I don't even have time to do anything. I just sprayed a model that I'm working on. It actually should be dry right now. I did it this morning, which is what I'm going to do when I get off of here before I do the SpaceX thing. I'll show you. I painted this. Now this is a 747 that will have a miniature space shuttle on it. But I had to paint. It's not even, I just painted it. I painted the side and the bottom on both of them. So this will eventually go together. But I had to do the painting first. It'll kind of look something like this when I finally, because I just painted it. There's nothing else done with it. And I can't see right now. I gotta have my goggles on. But this is gonna be the plane that has the shuttle on top of it. This is the 747. I gotta put the decals, I gotta glue it. But this is it. See how I painted the line and the bottom? See? Just to give you a little heads up what I'm doing. So this was the paint job that I did this morning. Early. So now I got to put it together. I'm leaving the wings gray, the color that it came. Then I'll put this together, put the decals, put a light, drill a hole, put a light inside so the cockpit lights up inside. There's a lot of work to be done with this, just this little model. But it's fun. That's what I do with my little spare time, whatever it is. Not spending time harassing other people. Oh my God. So yeah, I might work on this now. Matter of fact, after I eat lunch. Work on my little plane, because then I got to do the shuttle. Which I got to paint that to detail. And the decals and all that stuff. So I had to buy it small tweezers and a headgear with a light with different magnifying glasses that you could clip into it so I could see the model up close when I'm doing detail like that or spraying the paint. That's what I've been doing. And I've got models lined up, stacked now. They're all here except for the Star Destroyer for Star Wars. That comes in a couple of weeks because it's coming from Germany. But I've got them all lined up right here. This is just nuts. You got to see all the equipment I have. I've got the 2 Enterprises. I've got the Millennium Falcon. I got a UFO. As a matter of fact, I didn't even open it. Let me check it out. Oh, this is fragile. Fragile. Oh shit, I gotta put more wood. So this came yesterday. Oh, they taped the bubble wrap. All right. See if we can slide it out. It's a good idea. I'm glad they did. So this is the Enterprise. This lights up, but it doesn't come with the light kit. But this will light up. This is going to take me time. This model, it's going to take me time. That is for sure. We need wood. Fire. Fire. There we go. Get that fire going. Anyway, I'm going to bail so I can do some actual work, eat lunch, work on the model, and then we'll see what happens later. So, to anybody who's watching, be well, be blessed, be safe. See everybody at some point later, maybe.